This is the original hardcore chair swinging freak of ECW, the one and only Axl Rotten, and you're listening to the greatest, most hardcore on the internet and all over the world. That's the place to be for wrestling news and commentary. That's Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Don't turn it off, or I'll have a steel chair all around your head.
We're Hardcore Wrestling Radio. In HWR, we may not drop a lot of pipe bombs, but we sure as hell drop a lot of F-bombs. So don't say you weren't warned.
Another quick question. You don't have to believe everything you hear and see on the internet, but over the last couple of years, I've been following you, and I've been following bits and bobs on Ian, and I don't know whether they've been works or shoots or he's run his mouth off, or he's had a bad fallout with Ian and Axl, and they don't speak anymore, and there's a bit of animosity there. I was just wondering, is it all a work? Is it a shoot? What is your relationship like with Ian today?
That's a shoot.
That's
a shoot. You got to remember. Well, let me explain to you why. Because, and by the way, softcore just means you don't see the money shot. But anyway, the thing with Ian is like, I trained him, and I've known him for I don't know how long now. So we are literally like brothers. And if you guys have family, you know you could get in an argument with them. You don't talk to them for a month. You don't talk to them for 3 months. And then you talk to them again. And you go over to his house for Thanksgiving. The next year you don't go over to his house for Thanksgiving. That's just the way it works when you've been around somebody for so long. Ian and I lived together. We traveled up and down the road together. We shared hotel rooms for years together. I mean, we are, friends and enemies at the same time. But when it boils right down to it, people can say what they want about him, and I can say what I want about him. But, lately he's been doing nothing but the last show he did was tremendous, and I'm just going to judge people by what they're doing now, because I don't think if you keep holding up people to what they did before, you're looking backwards. And life's happening in front of you, which is forward. So I don't like to look backwards.
Yeah. One more question before I hand it over to one of the other guys. On the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view, were you... I'm sure you were... I don't think you actually had a match, but I think you had a run-out at some point.
Right.
The rumours are, on the internet again, and there's no definitive proof, that Bradshaw's supposed to give Blue Meanie a bit of a black eye, and there was a bit of a tussle in the locker room. Is that true?
Absolutely. He didn't give him a bit of a black eye. He busted his skull open.
Shit.
A bit more of a black eye. But here's the thing. I don't know where that story goes, but I'll say this. Bradshaw JBL is a guy that I think, pretty much you can do 6 degrees of separation with Axl Rotten and get yourself to any wrestler in the world, because Bradshaw and I, JBL, live in the same apartment complex. I helped teach him at the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. We worked out together, trained together, went out to eat at all-you-can-eat buffets together. And John's not going to be the guy that's just going to beat you up for no reason. And that's what I'm going to say about that. I think Meanie must have given him a reason, or JBL thought he gave him a reason, and he took it. Now, I don't know if I agree with in those confines where you got 25 guys in one ring and there's no room to move, and you just start potatoing somebody and shooting on him, and then he doesn't know what's coming. That's never really been my style. That's me. If that's what John thought he had to do, maybe that's what he thought he had to do. But, that's their thing. They've gotten it worked out since then, and that's on them. But that's just something that did happen, and it's 100% true.
Did it get really nasty in the locker room after it had gone off air, or was it all calmed down by then and people went their own separate ways, or did it continue?
Yeah. No, it wasn't calmed down at all. It wasn't calmed down at all by then. It just started. I mean, it just started in the ring. So when they got back in the dressing room, of course, Meanie wasn't willing to fight nobody, because I don't think Meanie could punch his way out of a wet paper bag. But, he was just kind of shocked that had happened to him, and I I would concur with him on that too. If I were Meanie and someone just jumped me like that, you gotta look at Meanie's point of view. He wasn't a contract player at that time. He wasn't, he could have easily gotten in a lot of trouble. What happened if JBL would have started beating the heck out of Meanie, and all the ECW guys would have ganged up on JBL and beat the hell out of him, and then Meanie would have gotten in trouble. So I think Meanie tried to do the best thing he could for business and just get out of there. And then as it turns out, he ended up getting a little bit extra out of it anyway. So they brought him back to do a couple things, and JBL had to put him over on television. So watch what you do, because sometimes you have to get a payback for that.
Yeah, something will come back and bite you in the ass. But I know on one of the RF shoot interviews,
yeah, exactly.
He was still very bitter about it. But he says at the end, like you've just said yourself there, at the end of the day, I'm not a fighter. I'm not gonna call him out. I'm just gonna say it like it is. He stiffed me in the ring, and that's not professional.
Exactly. That's what I said. I don't think that's a place where you do that kind of stuff. But there's been times, as I said earlier, we were talking about it, where you get in the ring with someone that doesn't know what they're doing, and if you don't take control of the situation, that'll make you look bad. But this is a situation where I think JBL knows full well that Meanie knows how to work, he knows how to wrestle. He didn't have to do that to him, but that's between them, and that's not for me to speak on, because all I'm doing is giving an opinion. I'm not stating any fact.
Yeah. Because I fully agree with what you're saying, because if you're fighting somebody that doesn't know how to take it or how to do any wrestling moves whatsoever, it puts your career in jeopardy, because they could do something foolish and put you out of the business forever.
Sure. I mean, there's a golden rule when you're wrestling guys that don't know how to work. You just don't ever leave your feet and keep your back to the ropes, because that way they can't hurt you.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll throw it round to one of the other guys who's probably sitting there with bated breath waiting to ask you a question, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate your questions.
No problem.
Well, can I ask this question to Axl? Axl, were there any repercussions stemming from that incident that night?
None that I was aware of. There were later repercussions, I think, on JBL, because I think Vince brought Meanie back sort of as an act of good faith, so hey, he wouldn't sue him, because I think there may have been some rumblings of, he was taken advantage of in the ring, and from what I understand, Vince brought him back and, paid him pretty well for a couple months or so to kind of stem off a lawsuit. And again, this is just a rumor. I don't know. I can't take fact of that. If you do that, you have to ask the Meanie. But Brian's one of those guys that's one of the easiest going guys in the world. And the funny thing is, the same can be said about JBL. I personally have never had a problem with JBL, ever. We have laughed and joked and, worked each other a million times in Texas. And when I came up there to WWE, he was nothing but gracious to me. He was nice, but not everybody gets along with everybody. You got to remember, you're looking at 50 to 100 guys, 150 guys in the locker room. That's just the dynamic of life. You're not going to get along with everybody that you're sitting with. That's just the way it is. I mean, if we all sat around the table, all of us right here on this show right now, in about 10 or 15 minutes, we'd all start formulating opinions about one another and doing character assassinations on each other. Saying, oh, that guy's going bald, that guy's fat, that guy's got a tooth knocked out, that guy's skinny, that guy's got bad breath. That's what happens in the real world. So the same thing happens in wrestling. Guys just don't get along.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's understandable. All right, we're gonna pass things over to Will. Will, on to you.
Hello, how you doing, Axl? Will from InstantGift.tv. How you doing today?
Great, man. I'm doing awesome.
All right, good. Kind of wanted to ask this, and I remember watching you in ECW like some time ago in the 90s. When you first got there, were you treated good? Were you treated bad? I mean, how did the boys in the back react when you first got to ECW?
Well, here's the story. When I first started working at ECW, it was still Eastern Championship Wrestling. It wasn't Extreme Championship Wrestling yet. And when I came in, by default, as soon as I got there and was actually a full-time guy, I became one of the more experienced guys there already, and was kind of like, I hate to say locker room leader, but there was a couple guys that people looked up to that, you know, and I, for my knowledge of the business and the way I could put a match together, and so people had a lot of respect for me. But I was never treated bad in that locker room. And then when it got to the point where big money became involved, and there was a lot of egos and stuff, I still didn't have a problem with anybody. You know, when there were power transitions and clicks and stuff like that, I got along with everybody, so I didn't care. I mean, if people didn't like me, that's fine, but I never really came across too many people that I didn't get along with in ECW. I got along with, I was kind of on a high-buy basis with everybody. I mean, I had, you know, a lot of friends, but I never had anybody that I would go to and go, oh, man, I don't want to see that prick, or I can't wait. And I just wanted to go away. It was never that way, because we were, in the beginning, even all the way through, up until like 98, we were like this gang of thugs that just wanted to take over the wrestling business, and we all fought together to do that. You know, it's like people were talking about, you know, join the revolution. We believed in that shit. We wanted to take over the wrestling business.
Right. And if you would have to pick, like, my next question would be, if you would have to pick one of your best matches in ECW, which one would it be?
Just one?
Yeah. I mean, I would ask you more, but I mean, like I said, I followed you and everything, and, you know, I just want to know, what was your best match in ECW?
See, my best matches in ECW might have been something that you never really saw. I mean, there was a lot of matches that happened that weren't for television. Like, there's one you can watch on YouTube that's like, it's me versus John Cronus versus Devon Dudley versus Tracy Smothers in a four-way dance captain's match going into a pay-per-view. That was a great match. There's a singles match with myself and Shane Douglas. See, you're trying for one. I can't do it. There's one with myself and Chris Candido, and
I remember that one.
Another one that was a three-way dance. Myself and Balls Mahoney against Doug Furness and Bill LaFon against Chris Candido and Lance Storm in a three-way dance was a tremendous match. So it's just hard to pick one match. I had so many good matches with Tracy Smothers, with Chris Candido, with Lance Storm, with the Dudleys. It was really tough to pick one match. It's hard, man, because I have so many fond memories of so many matches, and people would expect me to say, oh, it was the Type A Death match or the Barbed Wire Bat match. No, those are the most popular matches, but my favorite matches were the ones where I could go out there and just wrestle and have a great time. I'll tell you, when I got in the ring with Chris Candido, God bless his soul, I mean, we could just go out there, and another guy who was a friend of mine, we've known each other since I was 15 years old, and we just go out there, and we talked our own language. We'd be like, Chris was like, all right, Axl, here's what we're going to do. Jesus Christ, you go out there and hit me with that damn thing. I'll come back with that son of a bitch. You choke down. Hit me with the Fernum. Boom. I'll duck down. You hit the Fernum. I'll hit the Schnabitz. Boom with the 1, 2, 3. You do the Road Warrior gimmick. I'll come back with the Flair deal. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Say I'm out over again. I'll give you the big Schnabitz. When I hit you with the Schnabitz, you hit me with the Fernum, and I'll give you with the Durnum. And we'll go 1, 2, 3. How's that sound? Perfect. Let's do it. And that's how we call the match.
As Billy retires recovered, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, another question I wanted to bring up to you is, I know that from what I've read is you were released from your contract before you got to compete in the new ECW back in late 2006. Did you ever want to compete in the new ECW with the talent that they had brought in at that time?
No, I never wanted anything to do with it. Here's what happened. Tommy called me and said, hey, we're going to do this thing. You want to get on board for it? Yes. So I said, sure. You know, I was the third guy they contacted. It was Sabu, Sandman, and then me. And I was like, sure. Boom. So I was getting paid like 2 months before that came on the air. I was collecting checks from WWE for close to 3 months before there was anything going on with that. I was already under contract. And I had a show in Dallas, Texas the night before. I went down there, wrestled in Dallas, and my connection was messed up in getting to Pittsburgh one time. I got stuck in the airport, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going home. I really don't care to be a part of this, and I'm just going home. And that's what I did. I went home.
Yeah, and this is like really, really something I always wanted to ask. Like myself, but not have you here. Your finisher, the SST Severe Skull Trauma. How did you come up with that? I mean, how long did it take you to come up with that move? Like, did you have a set period of time to name your finisher?
Nah, everything I do comes off the top of my head. Just like like, you know, with Ron Simmons' finisher, the Dominator. I came up with that. That was my move. If you watch CyberSlam '96, I hit Little Guido with it for a finish, and Ron Simmons was there talking. He goes, "Man, I need to come up with a finish, man. I'm getting ready, fixing to go to Vince, and I don't have no interesting new moves to do, and they're going to ask me for a finish, and they're going to give me something stupid like a sleeper hold." I'm like, "Wait a minute, man. You don't want to do nothing stupid like that, man. That's going to be terrible. Let me show you this move." So I got Spike Dudley in the ring, and I showed him the Dominator, and he goes, "I like that, man. Can I use it?" I said, "Go ahead and take it," you know, and I was pretty impressed that he actually used it. And as far as the other move, I was seeing people do like the slop drop, the reverse DDT thing, and I was like, that's kind of weak. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to pick the guy up and like hold on to him and drop. The first time I did it to Spike Dudley in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the arena went nuts. They went, whoa! And then they went deathly silent because they'd never seen it before. And Spike lay there and didn't move. They thought I killed him. You know, that people, like, he was laying there with his leg, like, twitching and shit. People thought I actually, like, legitimately fucked him up. You know, and it's like, it's a sick-looking move, but it's hard to do to big people unless they come up for it. And a lot of guys, you know, they're afraid of it, too. And it's, oh, well, you know. Yeah, I never heard anybody with it. You know, I'll go on record with that, just so you know.
Okay. A couple of us here where we were like doing imitations and everything like that, like, you know, us growing up trying to imitate our favorite wrestler. It's probably gonna be out the box. Can you do a Macho Man intimidation?
Intimidation.
A Macho Man intimidation. Damn, over here.
Imitation.
Oh, yeah, right there. Kept talking about hardcore radio on the air, like talking about Axl Rotten. Yeah, he's a big scumbag. Yeah, put a little bit of mustard on that hot dog. He runs up there talking about what he's going to do to Macho Man. Yeah, let's figure it out right there. You want to be a big tough guy? Let me tell you this, Hulk Hogan, you're nothing but a big buddy. Hulk Hogan, let me tell you something, brother. Oh, yeah. That's all you get.
That's going to make my night right there.
Awesome.
I heard you do. I prompted them to ask you that question. I heard you do that on one of your shoot interviews, and I fell off my couch laughing.
Yeah, I do a million of them, man. I do just tons of impressions. I just like this. I'll tell you what, Andy, getting back to your question, with the Bell's palsy, it's tough to do a lot of the impressions that I used to do because, you know, you need to enunciate and change your voice, and not having full control of the right side of my mouth makes it difficult to, you know, come up with some of the different type of pacing of the voice and the deepness and the things like that. So it's hard to do. Like sometimes when I do my Mac and Dreams up the road, baby, talk about the Blue of the Woods. Three-time World Heavyweight Champion Jack, the one and only Stampede. What's a bunkhouse Stampede? You know what I'm talking about, Miss Elizabeth. Talking about her, Randy Macho Man Savage. You want to get in on my sweet Sapphire? Let's talk about it, baby. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's tough to do a lot of those impressions now because I don't have full control of my jaws. But I used to do tons of them.
When I need it.
I tell you, one of the people you need to kick ass. I'm a big RF video shoot buyer. I buy all of them. I get every single one, and hopefully the money goes to the right sort of people. But I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, a lot of the guys in the wrestling business, the boys, the quote-unquote wrestlers, like one guy, I won't tell you his name just because, he's a former WWE multi-time heavyweight champion, the first ever world heavyweight champion. He said, man, your shoot interviews are the best I've ever seen. He said, because you don't just bury someone for no reason. He goes, you tell the truth about everybody and yourself. He goes, you've seen so many guys go out there, and I'm not going to mention any names. All they'll do is say, fuck this guy, fuck that guy, fuck this guy, fuck that guy. This guy's a motherfucker, this guy. But they don't tell you why. They just bury people. Well, you know, I like to tell the stories behind why I'm saying that stuff. And a lot of the boys in the business have said, man, the way you do it is the way it should be done. And that's, you know, I don't have a problem making myself look bad because, trust me, if anyone can make themselves look bad, it's me. I'm very good at it.
Yeah, because I recently watched the one that you did, I think it was 2006 with Raven, and that was a good interview. And what I was going to say is, for us British fans, I've had a great deal of difficulty. I think you did your last one in 2012. I've had a great deal of difficulties to try and purchase that one. When I do speak to RF Video, they're not very happy about sending it to the UK because of the import duties. And next time you speak to RF Video, tell them get the finger out. There's a fan in the UK that's got all their videos, but he can't get his favourite one, right. Axl Rotten video, the last one you did.
Well,
it's really knocking me.
The last one I did, to be honest, was the one me and Raven, and there was another one by myself where I'm wearing like the same shirt. That was shot in 2010, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. I've got the one with you and Raven. I've got the one where you're on your own, and I've also got a very early one where you've got an orange T-shirt on and you're sitting in, it looks like someone's house in front of a PC. That's probably 1990 something. That's a really early one. Where you've got your blonde hair.
I have a big bottle of Coke with me and stuff.
Yes, and you pull a DVD out of your bag. You pull a DVD out of your bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got them all apart from the very last one. The very last one, yeah. I just can't get for love nor money, but I will get it eventually.
Yeah, if you don't get it, I'll get it and send it to you personally, or maybe I'll have the luck of handing it to you when I see you with some of these promoters in the UK get off of their butt and get me booked over there. Because I'll tell you, not just you, Andy, I get it all the time on Twitter and on Facebook. The fans were like, God, we'd love to see you come over here. We're starved for it. We had never. I've been there one time, and that was in 1991, and that's how long it's been. And people are like begging for me to come back, but all these promoters are like, well, how much do you charge, and how much? I'm like, look, dude, you're gonna make it back, and I can make it back for you in doing seminars with your students, and we split the money, all this other kind of stuff. There's tons of ways to make money off of me while I'm there, not just think of one show, one match. You got to think of, if I'm there, I can do a class with your students, charge them X amount of pounds or however the money translation is, and we can split the money. That way you make some of the money back right there. So there's tons of ways to do it, but
they would definitely make that. If
they just don't do it.
If you were on a wrestling card in the UK, they'd make their money 10 times over. Even if you weren't wrestling, just to make a guest appearance. Going back about 10 years ago, I can remember Tommy Dreamer coming to the UK, and he had a match, and it was like Hulk Hogan walking in the arena. The roof completely blew off when Tommy Dreamer walked in. Yeah. I could only imagine what it would be like if UK.
That's what the fans say, man. That's what they tell me, Andy. I've heard it from, I hate to say this, literally hundreds of people between Facebook messages and tweets, because I mentioned sporadically, I'm talking to a promoter in the UK, and as soon as I say that, boom, when are you coming over, and I'm like, this one guy last year was like, I got a date, I have everything, he had everything set, I don't even remember his name, but I talked to him on the telly, as a matter of fact, we talked on the phone, and he's like, okay, everything's set, no problem, and he's never called me back, and the next thing you know, his number was disconnected, so... I don't know what the scene is like over there if there's like that many small time promotions that pop up and close, but he must have been one of those guys.
Yeah. Like I say, I'll be still going to keep pushing for you, and hopefully one day when you do come over to this side of the woods, I'll hold you to that dinner date.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, like I said, we got to make Axl's army grow to an international force, man. So far, I've only hit United States, Japan, and Puerto Rico. We've got to get Axl's army, over in the UK. We've got to get it in Germany. We've got to get it all over Europe. And I think the promoters are a lot of times the promoters are also wrestlers, and they're so afraid to bring in somebody that's going to be more over than them. They just don't do it.
That's a true statement, because there's a lot of UK wrestlers who think they are the bee's knees, and they tend to the knees tend to turn to jelly when you say, "Oh, I've got Axl's phone number," and they're like, "Oh no, they're better than I am," and they don't want that. I don't know why they should be that way, because at the end of the day, you're in it to make money. You're in it to put a roof over your head and pay for the clothes that you wear, and so are they. And bringing you over, they're going to sell 10 times the amount of tickets they normally would. So I don't know. I don't really see what the issue is.
Yeah, I don't know either. And the thing is, like, we'll just keep plugging away with it, man. And as I said, on your side, if you can do anything or put me in touch with anyone else, like I said, let's keep moving it forward. But I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep trying to get wherever I can go, man. If it happens to be Europe or Japan again or anything, if the doors are wide open, I'm just going to keep pushing away, man. That's what I do. I wrestle. I love doing it. I've done it my entire life. And until God tells me I can't do it anymore, I'm going to keep doing it,
Yeah.
and that's it. I'm not going to embarrass myself, and go out there and look pathetic doing it, but if I can still physically feel well and get to the shape that I want to be in, I'm going to continue to perform. And I'll know when it's time to quit, and I'll put the brakes on and say thanks because, I'm physically not capable of doing it. But right now, I'm feeling good. I'm ready to get back to training hard, losing some weight, get back in the gym, and start wrestling as much as I can. I think it'll be great. I still have tons of interest everywhere I go. I always sell tons of merchandise, and I always get great response from the people. So, obviously, if people still want to see me, when they stop buying my pictures and stop applauding for me, I'll stop doing it. And as long as they're doing it, I'm going to keep coming and showing up.
Yeah, well, I'll keep pushing it as much as I can on this side, and I'll keep you up to date with what's going on with my annoying instant messages to you on Facebook. But I'll keep you up to date, and hopefully one day you will cross the water, and our paths will cross, and it'll be a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, we do have one more person we'd like to ask some questions. We do have the incomparable Lance Montz. Lance.
Axl, it's a pleasure talking to you. I know ECW and FMW had a working relationship, and I know you were one of the guys that was sent over there. What was it like working in FMW?
I had a very pleasurable experience with FMW. I worked there on a few separate occasions. The first time I went over, I got myself over there, and the second time was through the ECW thing. The only problem was again, this was with the erratic behavior that was going on in ECW at the time. Like, Paul would go, Axl, tomorrow you have to leave for Japan. I'm like, tomorrow? Like, yes, tomorrow. And I said, well, when do we work? Tomorrow. I said, wait a minute. So we're leaving tomorrow and we work tomorrow. I said, it's a 20-hour flight. It doesn't work. He's like, well, we just got to get on the next flight out and go to Japan. I'm like, okay. So, when I got over there, the matches were fine. I had no problem with the guys. They were great, but it was just, it was so last minute with Paul and stuff, sending us over there, and, we were so tired. And but once we got there, we got to Corrigan Hall and saw the place was packed, and it was going to be a good time. We just turned on the accelerator and went full speed ahead. I mean, the guys in Japan were nothing but great. They treated us with tremendous respect. The fans were awesome because at that point ECW had gotten kind of this huge following over there, so the fans were going nuts for us. And the crowd was incredible. The guys in the ring were incredible. It was just a great experience. It's a shame that it didn't continue because I think that if they could have had that kind of working relationship 2 or 3 years earlier, it could have helped bail out ECW financially. But that's another story for another time, and it just didn't happen. So, maybe things all worked out the way they should. Maybe, again, Kurt Cobain killing himself, Jimi Hendrix dying, ECW going out of business, things happen for a reason. Maybe we weren't meant to be here for 50 years. Maybe ECW was meant to be that, punk rock movement in professional wrestling. Maybe we were the Sex Pistols of pro wrestling. We were here for a couple of years to kick people in the ass and put a nice big scar on their forehead and say, go fuck yourself, and that's what we did.
If I only followed rock music.
Hey, I did. I like the Sex Pistols. Thank you very much. So, I know exactly what he's talking about.
And I got another question. I know everybody's talking about great minds in wrestling. Like, somebody has the greatest mind. Some people say Raven. Some people say other people. Who, in your opinion, has the greatest mind for the business?
Dusty Rhodes.
And one final one before I throw it back to Rick. Does Paul Heyman still owe you money?
No. Paul Heyman doesn't owe anybody money. I mean, that was so long ago. I mean, now if you would have answered that question in 2001, I would have started yelling and screaming and turning over tables and going, but no. I mean, look, here's the thing. That was so long ago that all of my mental wounds have healed as far as that goes. And I look back. I don't look back in anger with Sting. I look back with fond memories. It's how they say, the farther, things become a part of your past, the easier it is to look back on them with only the fond memories. And that's what I tend to do nowadays. I don't look back on the bounce checks and, the bad things that happened. I only look back on the good times, the sold-out crowds, and every week getting to hang out with a great bunch of guys and girls and seeing great fans every week, traveling all over the country, being treated like, a big star in every town that we went to, and just the tons of fans, at the hotel and the arena and at the restaurants. Those were great times. So, to sit and squabble over, one or two bad things, that would just be sour grapes, and I'm not about that anymore. I'd rather have a great time thinking about all the great things we accomplished, and we did accomplish so many great things. It almost seems to do our legacy a disservice to sit and worry about one or two little bad things when the legacy of ECW is we changed the wrestling business and we innovated, American hardcore wrestling like it's never been done before. And we'll probably never do again because there's no other wrestling company now or that will ever come along that will do what ECW did. They just won't be able to because, all the planets lined up at the right time, it seems like, and all the right guys were in the right place, and it just took off like, a supernova. It was bam. It was the right thing at the right time.
In your opinion, I've often thought this question, and it's just come to me. Why do you think ECW did take off in the way that it did?
Well, it's very simple, because we did not insult our viewers' intelligence. We didn't go out there and try to, sugarcoat things. And you got to remember when this took off, it was the mid-'90s, right after, hair metal had just gone away in 91, 92, and then here comes, Soundgarden, Nirvana, O.J. Simpson murders 2 people and gets off of it. The landscape in America was that we don't want to be bullshitted anymore. And what we did was we came on TV with wrestlers that looked like guys that could beat your ass. They didn't look like guys that were like gay, metrosexual underwear models like WWE has now. I don't mean gay as in homosexual, because homosexual, if you're homosexual, that's fine. I mean gay as in happy-looking, metrosexual guys that look just like underwear models.
Yeah.
We didn't look that way. We looked like a gang of thugs that wanted to beat the living fuck out of somebody, and that's what we did. And society liked that. We had girls kissing each other. We had blood all over the place. We had, titties coming out. We had asses getting thrown all over. People just bang, guys getting their necks broken. And our promos, when we talk, we'd say fuck and they just bleep it out. They didn't go through. You didn't hear Vince McMahon going, "Oh my God, Jesus Christ, Jim Ross, I can't believe he said that. Let's go back to the ring with, that wasn't the way we did it. We were out there calling people out, saying, we are bad. We'll kick your ass. Let's do it. And people wanted that down to earth, gritty, grimy, put your hands in it and feel the moisture, kind of thing. They wanted to feel the grit between their fingernails, and that's what we gave them. We gave them that type of real, like, reality show before there was a reality show kind of vibe. They were like, wow, this is like almost you were kind of looking through a camera. You should have been seeing what we were doing, but we were still doing it. It's kind of like when you're a little kid and you first find your dad's Playboy, you shouldn't look at it, but you want to anyway.
Yeah.
That's what the fans thought. Oh my God, I don't want to look at that, but I can't stop looking at it. So that's why it was so good. It was reality. Reality. That's why it took off. We didn't come up with comic book heroes and tell them to say their prayers and eat their vitamins. We said, take your drugs and drink, but just don't hurt anybody.
Do you still have any contact with Hat Guy?
With what guy?
The Hat Guy, the one that everybody talks about in ECW, the fan that used to wear the straw hat.
Oh yeah, I see him every now and then. It shows up in Pennsylvania. That guy was gotta get remember his first name, but I should be ashamed of myself for not knowing it because he's a great guy, and the good thing about him is as a fan, he knew. Here's what I liked about him and all those guys that sat there in that front row section in front of the camera you saw in ECW every week. They weren't stupid. They knew what was going on. They knew who was going to win, who was going to lose. But they didn't go out there and they did it as a fan what they were supposed to do. They booed the bad guys and cheered the good guys. That's what they did. So that was like they were part of the show because a fan watching in Nebraska like say, oh, I think that guy's a bad guy, a good guy. But the fans in the audience know what to do, so they're part of the show almost. Our audience was so smart that they knew to help ECW, they had to do what they were supposed to do. So they were like, the 12th man, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. I'm sorry, I had a text message coming through. I got off my train of thought, but that's what I'm saying. It's like Hat Guy and like Sign Guy over there. All those guys are great fans, man. That's why you remember them, right? I mean, you watch Monday Night Raw and you ever go ask a question about what the fans have been doing? No, that's what ECW is all about. Nobody ever sits and goes, I wonder what that guy in the front row of WCW Thunder is doing right now. You never ask that question because that ECW is ingrained in your mind as a cult following. It was so good you remember the fucking fans. Now, come on, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Now,
he even appeared on the ECW barbed wire DVD. They even interviewed him on there. Now, for a fan to get interviewed on a ECW DVD, I was blown away that they'd interviewed the guy. But he was, like you say, as much of the show as you guys were. He probably spent more time on camera than you guys did.
He did. He was on TV the whole show.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, real quick, I'm going to pass it back over to Will because Will is going to be a correspondent for our one of our guys, James.
You know what, Rick? I hate to interrupt you here, but ladies and gentlemen, he's here. Not only is he here, he's on the bus. James on the bus is actually here now, live on Skype. James, how you doing?
I want to correct you. I'm at a bus stop, okay?
Yes.
Keeping his eye out for homeless people.
All right. Well, James, welcome to HWR. You are live now with Axl Rotten.
I have one question for Axl Rotten. How do you feel about working for ECW One Night Stand when they beat brought it back for 2005-2006?
I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, that's why he was supposed to text it in.
Yeah,
What he asked.
Go ahead.
What he asked Axl was, how did it feel working for ECW One Night Stand?
Okay. It felt wonderful. I mean, the thing is this, with that show, we already covered it like an hour.
Yeah,
so
we did. Yeah, we already talked.
It was real quick. It was fun. It was great. I think the idea of being able to do semi what we did in the ECW arena on a national level was kind of cool, and it got people who had no idea who some of us were a chance to see us on worldwide television. So I'll be forever thankful for them for doing that. And that day, on the first One Night Stand, it was a lot of fun because you see a lot of guys you didn't see for a long time. I mean, that was the first time I saw Lance Storm in a lot of years. It was the first time I saw Benoit in a lot of years. It was the first time I saw Jerry Lynn in a lot of years. So it was a great time to see a lot of those guys. So the One Night Stand, the first one, was a big-time homecoming for a lot of us who got to hang out with people that we hadn't seen in, 7 and 8 years. So it was a good time.
Nice.
Sure.
What?
Right.
You just
Go ahead,
you just mentioned Chris Benoit. Now I know it's a sensitive subject, but how did you feel when you heard the news about the tragedy of the Benoit family? How did you feel in yourself? Did it affect you in
I was
any way?
very sad. I was actually very, very sad because, that's not the Chris Benoit that I knew. That's not the guy that when I knew him in ECW was just the most kindest, most sincere, soft soul you'd ever want to meet. He was a very nice guy, and I got to know him over the years. Knew him when he was in WCW, and I knew Nancy when she was married to Kevin Sullivan. I met the youngster. Chris brought him to SmackDown one night, and he sat there on Chris's lap the whole time. We ate dinner together. Myself, Chris, and Chris's little son. And Chris wasn't working because he just had his neck fixed. He had a big straw in his neck, so he brought the youngster with him, and he was hanging out with him the whole time. So when someone told me that he killed that kid, I couldn't believe it, and I still don't believe it. I swear that maybe the facts that they came up with are the best way to wrap it around it, but I just can't believe in my mind that Chris would do something like that to that little boy unless he loved him. It was unthinkable, and it was no matter how you look at it has nothing to do with wrestling or anything. It's just a world and people. It's a sad situation when someone's life is taken, especially a child. So people say that the coach that hate Benoit and they don't want to talk about him. I can't be that way because the man has never done anything to me, and I have never seen anything out of him but a nice, respectful, loving father and husband. So I can't say a bad word about the man, except that, if that's how things went down, he'll be judged by a better person or entity than I. God will have to judge him, and that's how it's going to be played out. But it was sad when that happened. It wasn't just sad for the wrestling business. It was a sad day for the world and humankind in that period. It was terrible.
I think that's why most wrestling fans still talk about it today, because we were just fans. We didn't know the guy personally, but I know when I heard it on the news, I wanted them to find someone that had done the murder and not blame it on Chris. I really wanted it to be proved that they were killed by a third party, but it's going to be like Kennedy. We're never going to know the truth. We can only surmise what happened.
Right, Andy, the whole thing is like this. It's like the only person that really knows is Chris Benoit, and he's not talking.
Yeah.
So, that's the truth.
Let me ask you one question about the Benoit situation. The WWE obviously has completely, for the most part, blacked him out of the history. Do you think that's the right decision?
Perfect example, Rick. WWE is airing Super Brawl 7 on their WWE Classics on demand, and there was a perfectly good match with Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan at that card, and WWE completely took that out of the card.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. I don't think. Since when does WWE have the right to rewrite history? That's what they're doing. I mean, some of the people may not have liked Adolf Hitler, but guess what? It happened, and you have to report on it.
Yep.
Some people may have not liked, John F. Kennedy, but he was part of history. You have to report on it. Some people may have not liked Nelson Mandela, but you have to report on it. So, I mean, I think it's pretty sad that, they're deciding to rewrite history and take the man's lifelong achievements out of what he's done. You cannot take away the career that he had, the matches, and you can't take away the great matches that he had because of something that happened to him personally. I mean, the guy was one of the greatest athletes and wrestlers ever. But that's Vince McMahon. He likes to play God. Vince McMahon likes to play God.
Do you feel it's a shame nowadays when fans talk about Chris Benoit, the very first thing that comes to their mind is the incident that happened with his family?
Sure, it's terrible that they don't say, instead of saying, when you say Chris Benoit, the first thing they should say is, wow, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, become a legitimate heavyweight, be a world heavyweight champion, when everyone told him he was too small to do it, and he did it. Vince McMahon didn't want to make him the world heavyweight champion because Vince hates little guys. Vince hates short guys. He couldn't stand the fact, the fans loved Chris Benoit, and he was one of the greatest entertainers that they ever had. But, it was easy for him now to write him off because Vince didn't like the little guys to begin with. He wanted everyone to be 6'10", 300 pounds of muscle, and that's not Chris Benoit.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, I'm going to pass it back over to Will. Will is going to be speaking for James because unfortunately, as I said, he just has 2 more questions for you. So, Will, over to you.
Sure.
James got to keep on the lookout for homeless people.
That's good.
All right, Axel. James wanted to know, how did it feel to step inside TNA, and when you were in that tag match with Balls Mahoney and you two defeated Team 3D in that South Philly street fight?
Actually, they beat us. We didn't beat them. They beat us. But James he's really into feelings, isn't he? He likes to get in touch with your inner feelings on a lot of things. How did I feel? Here's the thing. That was another situation where it was another opportunity for us to show the world what UCW is all about. And here's a little known fact. That was the most bought TNA pay-per-view that entire year. So here's the thing you need to think about. Your company can't draw with your guys. You bring in totally strange wrestlers whose promotion has been dead for 10 years, and we outdraw your company. That means something's wrong with your company.
Right. Well, there you go. I absolutely agree. And James's final question was, and I think I knew about this before him, but he wanted to get out the way anyway, is he remembers seeing you on a TV show. It's like the first episode called Homicide Life on the Streets.
Yeah.
If I got that correct. So did you ever feel like you can have a TV career down the line if you had to leave wrestling?
Well,
I hope this out James typed it. Now I'll kill him.
No, that's all right. He probably wants to know. He probably wants to know how does it feel to be on a TV show. Well, the thing is, that show was a great show, Homicide Life on the Street, and it was filmed right here in my hometown of Baltimore, Maryland. And they
Nice.
put out a casting call, and I went down to the casting office, and the casting agent was like, "Yes, that guy has got to be on TV. Look at that goofy hair, man. That guy has got to be on TV." So they put me on TV, and it's funny because I've been contacted just recently by a guy to do some more acting work, and I've always been a natural at it. I just was something I didn't want to do. I see a lot of wrestlers that try to go into acting and they just look dumb. Not everyone can be Dwayne Johnson. Hulk Hogan proved that. So it's like, some guys have a knack for it, others don't. I mean, Roddy Piper tried to do some acting, and, God loves him. Roddy did okay, but the movies, like the best one I think he did was They Live, and that still wasn't that great. But, some of the guys, like, they don't translate well onto mainstream media. Like, The Rock, he does great because, he's a very charismatic, good-looking guy. He's tall, he's entertaining, he thinks on the fly.
I still think he's a pompous ass.
Getting himself over. So that's what I'm getting to. He knows how to get himself over really well. And that being said, a lot of people take him the wrong way and think he's very arrogant. I haven't seen him in a long time, so maybe he's changed. When I was around him before, he was one of the very humble guys I've ever met. But, money and power has a way of changing people, and that's probably what happened with Dwayne.
Right. Andy had to step out for a second, so I'm going to ask this question for him. He'll be back momentarily.
Oh, God.
He asked, what's Dixie Carter like in person? Wow, Andy.
This is Andy's favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, Dixie, when I met her, was nothing but polite. She actually, she went out of her way to make sure she talked to all of us and came up and introduced herself to every guy, of the ECW guys. So she knew our names, she knew what we did. So she took her time to figure out who was who and what was what. She wasn't like when you went to work for Vince just like, he expected you to be in awe of seeing Vince McMahon. Well, I wasn't in awe of anything. Whereas Dixie Carter, on the other hand, she came up and personally introduced herself to everyone, and, she'd say, by your first name, like, "Hi, Axl," she'd, "Hey, Balls," and it's funny to hear her say, "Hey, Balls," with us. So that was funny. She knew him and said hi to everyone, and she was, She was really cool about it. Of course, like I said, I only had one day to deal with her. I didn't have to deal with her all the time like everyone else does, so I don't know what kind of politician she is, or what kind of game she plays, and whatnot. All I can tell you is anyone that was stupid enough to bring in Hulk Hogan and give them control of their company must have something wrong in their head, and that's what I'm going to leave it at that.
All right, thank you, Axl. It was a pleasure.
Well, that
to talk
takes care
to you.
of my next question.
It's probably because I'm a mark for Dixie. Probably because she's got my cock in her mouth.
Welcome back, Andy.
Andy stalks her to this day.
Try and fuck some sense into her.
As I was
Well,
about
you
to
know,
say,
Andy, if it'll make you feel any better, Andy, I'll tell you this, like, she kissed me, so, I mean, in case you're worrying about how, I got a little bit of tongue.
I hope you haven't washed your lips, because when we meet, I'll kiss you, so I can imagine I'm kissing her.
Okay.
I feel like
Stand
I'm
by,
a
brother.
rabbi and a strong drink.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a strong drink after coming out with that comment.
That's funny. Hey, Rick, I'm going to wrap it up here in a couple minutes, so I don't know if you guys have any more questions you want to get out, but I'm going to get out.
Yeah, one question I ask every single celebrity guest. You know what? Billy, I'll let you ask this
It
question.
is
Go ahead.
a tradition that we ask our guests for a funny road story that they can share.
Oh, my God. Let me think of one that I can tell you that's, no, I can't tell you that one.
nice question, Billy. Nice question.
We've heard some quite a few ones.
Especially Jason Knight. We heard a very good one about Jason Knight and New Jack.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you a good one.
Let me tell you what. There's tons of stories about those guys. So, and if you heard it, it's probably true because we did some crazy things. I'll tell you one. We were in Boston one time, and there was a whole bunch of fans hanging out at the hotel in the lobby, and there was this one fan that was just like so stupid. She would do anything he said, and there was probably about 10 of us that went back to this room. And she wanted to be a wrestler or whatever, and we told her, yeah, man, all you got to do if you want to be a wrestler is, you got to basically do it. She said, I'll do whatever the promoter wants. I don't care. You name it. One of the guys said, well, we got to see what you look like. So, you send us some pictures. And says, oh, no, I'll just get, I'll show you right now. I'll get naked right here. So she got naked, and one of the guys told her to run down the hall and get some ice out of the ice machine. So she went to the ice machine naked. She came back. When she came back, what she didn't know is we took clear, it's like the stuff you wrap bowls in, like saran wrap, but it's clear. And we placed it over the toilet, put the toilet seat down, and told her, she said, oh, I got to use the bathroom, and she wanted to use the bathroom. We knew when she left to go to the machine, she had to go to the bathroom. So what we did was we put the saran wrap down on the toilet and put the toilet seat down. And she said, oh, I really have to pee, I really have to pee. I said, oh, no, don't go to the room in the lobby, come back here. So when she come back, we had the bathroom rigged up to where when she sat down on it, her pee turned into a number 2, and she shat all over her ass and all over her back and everything. And we pushed her down the hallway with shit all over her back, naked and no clothes.
I wonder if that's where they got the inspiration from 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Yeah, that was 10 wrestlers, 1 rat. It was pretty bad.
Damn.
Wow. Oh.
All right, guys, look, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. It's midnight where I'm at, and I gotta get up at like 5 a.m. So I want to tell you guys, first of all, this is a great time. I can't believe that I've been on here for almost 2 hours. It doesn't seem like I've been on here 10 minutes. I've had so much laughs with you guys. It seems like I'm sitting around the house just chatting with my friends. You know what I mean? It's like a great time. I really like this. I mean,
Well, listen, we would love to have you
so
back.
much fun.
But before you go, can we get you to say Like, hi, this is Axl Rotten, and you're listening to HW Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Oh, yeah, sure, I can do that for you. It's called Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Everybody quiet. I won't even count you down. That way you know how to mark it when you record it. You ready? 3, 2, 1, mark. This is the original hardcore chair swinging freak of ECW, the one and only Axl Rotten, and you're listening to the greatest, most hardcore on the internet and all over the world. That's the place to be for wrestling news and commentary. That's Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Don't turn it off, or I'll have a steel chair around your head.
Oh man, awesome! Thank you.
There you go, guys. Is that okay?
That's
That was
awesome, dude.
Perfect.
Did you like how I turned into wrestler voice when I did that?
I did. That's awesome, dude. Thank you
Did
so
you,
much. Like I said,
did you guys notice the difference in my voice between the promo
I did.
voice and my real voice?
Yep.
Yeah. But
That's the made for TV voice right there, and this is the real voice. Like I had a girl one time go, "How come you don't sound like you do on TV?" I said, "Because your legs are wrapped around my ears." Shut up.
oh shit.
Ooh, man.
Listen,
Hey
actually,
guys, look, it was a pleasure, Rick. It was a pleasure, everybody. Andy, well, all you guys out there, this was a great time. I want to tell you right now, I had a great time on here. And if anybody asks me about this program, I'm going to say, if it's one of my friends that are in the wrestling business, I'm going to say you got to come on there with these guys because I sat there for almost 2 hours with them, and it was a great blast. I didn't feel like I was like running out of time or didn't have enough questions. Everyone was knowledgeable. You guys are respectful. You're knowledgeable about the wrestling business. You have an entertaining program, and I'll let you know, this isn't the first time I listened to you. I went back when I found out I was going to be on here and listened to an episode or two from before, and they were really interesting. So you guys have a good thing going here, and you're 100% Axl Rotten certified. And if you don't like Hardcore Wrestling Radio, I will come to your house and put a chair around your head. So we are certified, Axl Rotten approved. This is a great fucking show.
thanks a lot, Axl. You know, and like I said, anytime you want to come on, you're welcome on the show. And even if you want to come on, just even on via Skype, it's hardcore.crew1. And you just want to come on and just shoot the shit with us, even just, you know, to hang out, feel free, dude. Because you are Hardcore Radio certified.
Is it the number one or the letter, the crew?
No,
or
number
the
one.
number one?
Number one,
Okay.
hardcore.crew1, all lowercase.
Right. And mine's easy too. Mine's just like Axl ECW Icon. So you want anyone to hook me up on Skype, it's Axl ECW Icon. I'm really easy to get a hold of. You want to check me out on Facebook? It's just Axl Rotten. It's facebook.com/Axl Rotten, AXLROTTEN. I'm on Twitter at Axl Rotten ECW. So I'm out there for the fans and anyone that wants to get a hold of me. If any questions, feel free to do so. I'm going to get out of here right now, guys. You guys got a way to get a hold of me. If you ever need me for anything, I'll be more than happy to come back on the show and do anything you guys want. Find me via Twitter, Facebook. I know Andy knows how to get a hold of me. You guys recognize my home number. You know how to reach me. So I want to say it's a great time for everyone out there. I'm 100% blessed to be on here with you guys, and I'm going to get out of here right now. But again, thank you so much for this great time. And you guys keep kicking ass for what you're doing because you got a good show going here. And I'll talk to you next time. See you guys.
See you then. Thank you,
Axl.
Axl.
Thanks very much.
Tonight's interview with Axl Rotten been brought to you by Titty Sprinkles.
Wow, what an awesome guy. That was an excellent, excellent interview. Probably one of our best right here at Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And guys, we've been, like you said, what did we do? An hour and a half show. And
1 hour.
I think we're going to...
The interview has run for 1 hour 41 and 2 seconds.
I would like to thank our special guest, Axl Rotten. I would also like to thank WrestleManiacs over at www.facebook.com/joininthemania for helping us promote Hardcore Wrestling Radio.
Andy, over at StokeOnIt.com, Paranormal Investigation Group, tell people where they can check you out.
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook, or they can find me on YouTube, or they can check me out on my website, which is www.stokehaunted.com.
Lance is over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit you?
wrestling reviews, album reviews, which I am currently in the middle of doing a 16 albums in 15-day review, and NASCAR reviews and whatever else pops in my head.
Rick, I think James wants to hire some homeless people to kill me.
Yes, I'm going to put over to you.
Oh, they're coming for me. I'm scared.
It's all right. Well, Billy, we know you're over on YouTube. Why don't we tell them how we can find you?
At youtube.com/WrestleGamer. And remember, fans, tomorrow on WGS TV, the GCW Heavyweight Championship will be on the line. Christian Blake takes on Trucker Jones of the Trilogy. Only way to find out who comes out on top, takes the title for Gulf Coast Wrestling, is to check out youtube.com/WrestleGamer tomorrow.
And, of course, we also have the two Instagib gurus, one who's James on the Bus, and, of course, the Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will, tell us about the Instagib.
Well, Instagib is a gaming website where we can play video games, interactive games, anything that's all gaming. And what's coming up is just basically one of those days where I'm just going to just throw on a game and everybody can come onto the room and be interactive. That is www.instagib.tv/Bay Area MVP.
And also, if you're listening to us over at Facebook, please hit that like button for 1 second. And the show stems from over at Spreaker.com/HWR Media. Come on over here.
And if you don't listen to HWR Radio, we're going to throw James at you. And
no, even better yet, Axl Rotten's going to come over and he's going to hit you with a chair shot.
Why is there a homeless person outside my window with a chair?
So for the two Instagib gurus, James and Will, for the YouTuber Double B Bujo, the son of a bitch Andy, the incomparable Lance Moss, myself, if I can get my tongue out of my mouth, the Shining Star Rick Star, and of course, our special guest, the ECW legend, Axl Rotten. We'll say see you when we see you.
Tonight's show's been sponsored by Titty Sprinkles and now officially copyrighted by HWR.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Be sure to follow us on our pages, facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio and Spreaker.com/HWR Media, and also on youtube.com/HWR Show. Until the next time, this is Rick Starr saying see you when we see you.